Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chase and this is All Things Rum. Today we are looking at a watch that will piss a lot of people off. Now, clearly you guys have seen the thumbnail. Today we are talking about the Seiko Comex. Now, yes, for those hardcore watch enthusiasts, there's going to be a couple camps when it comes to this watch. People are going to say this is a Frankenstein watch or a Franken watch. They're going to say this is a Seiko. They're going to say this is a custom modded watch that has nothing to do with Seiko, has nothing to do with Comex. People are going to say Comex is a Rolex thing and has nothing to do with Seiko. And all of those things are absolutely 100% true. Now, is the Seiko Comex a fake watch? I would call it an homage to the Rolex Comexes out there. Now, it's kind of funny because when it comes to these watches, I think it's hilarious how people get so passionate about the side that they're on. It sort of reminds me of people's political views, which is kind of funny in the watch community that these things are just things. But don't get me wrong, I'm very passionate about watches myself. I consider myself an extremely passionate watch collector. Now let's talk about this Seiko Comex. Now, why did I buy this Seiko Comex? Because I really like the look of the Submariner watch, except I'm just sick and tired of homages like Pagani Design, like Parnis, and I just want something outside of my own Rolex Kermit, and I really want a Rolex Submariner no date. And then I started looking at the vintage style Rolexes and I was like, man, everything's just way too expensive now, even though the market is tanking when it comes to Rolexes. I told you so in a video like 6 months ago that this is all in a price bubble, and I knew that the prices would come down eventually. There's no way that it can continue forward the way it was. But that being said, all the prices on Rolexes are still way too expensive, and I really love the look of the Submariner. And honestly, I got it specifically because I wanted it as a watch to showcase the straps from my watch strap company, Chase Straps. That is actually going to be in the next video. I'm going to showcase every single watch strap and every single accessory that I have on my website, chasestraps.com, where I have premium leather straps, vintage style, as well as NATO straps and accessories. That being said, I really wanted a watch that could really showcase some of these straps off without having to use my Rolex Kermit, because the Kermit or the Hulk, as cool as they are with the black dial, green bezel, or the green dial, green bezel, it's not that nice in-between watch that I could use for everything. And my buddy who has a Rolex Submariner no date, well, he was out of town when I did all the product photography. So basically I wanted this watch because I love the look of the Rolex Submariner. I love Seiko, and I love the fact that there are a giant community out there of people who mod watches and sell them. Now let's talk about this watch specifically. Now the watch specifically has the exact same measurements that you'd see on a Rolex Submariner, maybe an Invicta Pro Diver, 40 millimeters in diameter, exactly the right size you would need for basically every single wrist. My wrist personally is 7¼ inch wrist, and honestly, 40 millimeters for me is a perfect size watch. I would say anywhere from 38 to 42, so that means 40 is that really good sweet spot for a lot of people, both with medium-sized wrists, large wrists, and sometimes even small wrists if they want something that's just a little bit on the larger side. By the larger side, I mean people who have normal size wrists who wear giant Invictas. Well, maybe you could have the same thing with a 40 millimeter watch if you have a smaller wrist, if you're catching my drift. Now, this watch has all the exact same things you would see on a Rolex Submariner minus the price point. Instead of the Rolex materials, it instead uses the 316L stainless steel, which is the industrial standard for everything, as opposed to the 904, which is in Rolex. Now, it does have a high polished side. It does have a unsigned crown, which is fine, and it does offer 200 meters of water resistance. Now, it does have those classic Mercedes hands, and it does have the lume printed along the dial. And I'm okay with that. If you look at the hands, if you look at the lume, it has that sort of custard look, so it gives it more that vintage vibe, minus the price point. It also has a sapphire crystal that covers the dial, and inside is an NH35A. Now, the one thing that I really love about the NH35, it is literally a workhorse in every single micro brand watch out there that has a, like, not a Swiss movement. It is in probably, I would ballpark 90% of all micro brands is going to be an NH35. So it is a workhorse. If something happens, the movement is extremely easy to replace, and it is a reliable movement. Offers 40 hours of power reserve, and honestly, it's plus or minus, I think, 20 to 30 seconds a day. So it's not a bad movement at all, and the price point is just there. Watches that have an NH35, to include things like an Invicta Pro Diver, you know, it's really good that they offer it, because you can get an automatic watch at a lower price point. And again, like I said, it is a workhorse movement. Now, it does have a screw down case back, and on this watch specifically, it does have a window showcasing the NH35A movement. Honestly, with these undecorated movements, I've said it in the past in plenty of videos, I wish that they just have a sterile case back. But some people just love to look at the mechanical workings inside of an automatic watch. To those people, my hats are off. I think it's great. I think it's cool that you're into watches. You really love to see how the mechanism works. You love to watch the balance wheel. You love to see how the weighted rotor sort of spins around on your wrist. That's cool for me. I've been watch collecting for a very long time. For me, it's kind of blah, because it's so basic. And on things like this, like, I understand this is a custom built watch that I bought on eBay. I can't just go out to Seiko and buy this watch. So someone put this together. So for me, a see-through case back really isn't that big a deal. I personally would have just rather had that stainless steel case back. Maybe if I were to buy a watch like this for somebody important to me, with that sterile case back, I could get it engraved as opposed to a see-through window. Now, the bezel on this one is the classic coin edge bezel, 120 click, unidirectional, and it does have a steel insert, not a ceramic, not a sapphire, just a basic steel insert. So it's going to age and it's going to wear just like the older watches did. That was one of the things I really like about the Rolex Kermit, is the fact that that bezel just ages over time. It was like a nice green, and now it's like a lime green. It's kind of aged over time, and honestly, it just gives it really good character. Whereas something like my Hulk that has a ceramic bezel, it basically looks new forever, and that's cool too. I mean, there's a camp of those people. There's two camps of those people as well. People who love to see watches age, and some people who love to see watches look brand new. This has the steel bezel insert, so it is going to age, it is going to scratch, but I'm okay with that. Now, the bracelet that they use is similar to the entire watch also. It's going to be a Rolex Submariner homage bracelet, right? It's going to have the same type of oyster bracelet that you'd see on a Rolex, except of course this is 316 L stainless steel, and this is aftermarket, and this is no signed clasp. And the clasp is still like a glide lock clasp, which I love. I tell people all the time, once you wear something that has a glide lock clasp mechanism on it, it's really hard to go back to anything else that's not something like a NATO strap or a leather strap or even a rubber strap, but I'm talking about bracelets like butterfly clasps and stuff like that. Some people don't understand until they actually wear something with a glide lock clasp. This means you can adjust it on the fly, a millimeter at a time. So if you're in a, let's just say you go to Vegas, let's just say you are rolling the dice at the craps table and you are inside a nice air-conditioned casino and it is 65 degrees inside and your wrist feels a little loose. You can adjust it and tighten it on the fly. Then you walk outside and it's 110 degrees, your wrist swells, gets a little too tight, and you can adjust it on the fly again while you're heading out for drinks with the lovely lady on your arm. This is one of the really good things that I like about these on the fly glide lock clasp adjustments, and why I would say if you've never experienced one or you've never had a hands-on feeling of one, get something like this, because then you sort of get the experience or the best of both worlds without having something like a replica on your wrist. Not a big fan of replicas at all because they're fake. Now, a lot of people in the YouTube verse who are watching this video are going to say, Chase, it says Seiko Comex on the dial. That is a replica because Seiko never actually partnered with Comex to make a watch. And I'm going to say, well, it's still just an homage. It says Seiko across the top, doesn't say Rolex. Yes, Seiko never did partner with Comex, but I really don't care. Honestly, I looked at the ones that had non-Comex and the ones that say Comex on it, and honestly, to me, it's it really doesn't matter. If you want to argue about that, then you can argue to yourself in the mirror like you probably do in your mom's basement at night. Honestly, to me, it's really not a big deal. Now, all in all, I really love the feel of this watch. I love the fact that if you take the stainless steel bracelet off and you put it on a NATO strap, it fits great. I love that you can also put something like this dive watch or a Rolex or an Invicta or whatever else on a vintage leather strap. And again, it looks awesome. Love this watch. I'm glad I purchased it. I think it was like $250 on eBay. Just go on eBay, search Seiko Submariners, and there's a buttload of Seiko Submariners out there that, you know, honestly, I think that when someone sits down, they mod a watch and they put their time and energy into it, it just adds a little more to it than if I just bought it straight from Japan or straight from China. Anyway, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment on the content you guys would like to see. On this channel, I have a lot of videos coming up in the future. The next video is going to be a showcase of every single watch strap, every single accessory from my watch brand company, Chase Straps. Link down below. I am just beginning. It's very important to me that you support that watch strap company because that's going to support this channel and allow it to grow also. Now make sure you guys are hitting that notification bell so you can be notified when I drop those videos. Until next time.